A bizarre, unfounded, malicious conspiracy theory has shifted from the message boards to the mainstream.
QAnon has really moved from what was a bunch of kind of misinformation in general to actually planning different types of violence in the real world.
And now the world's most popular platform is trying to stop it. But can QAnon be contained? Well, first, let's deal with what it is. QAnon's a conspiracy theory movement built around two central false beliefs. One, that Q is a powerful person, perhaps even President Trump, who posts clues to guide followers towards the truth. And two, that President Trump is waging a war against Satan-worshipping paedophiles among the world's elite. A complete lack of evidence hasn't stopped QAnon. It began on the message boards 4chan and 8chan before rapid expansion on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit and YouTube. And during the pandemic, interest has surged. In response, we've seen the platforms take action. In July, Twitter banned thousands of accounts. Now Facebook is doing the same. It says our dangerous organization's operations team will proactively detect content for removal. And note the name of that team. Facebook considers QAnon dangerous. Twitter says it wants to prevent QAnon causing offline harm. But what danger and harm are we talking about? Well, that brings us to the crux of this issue, how QAnon's misinformation connects to democracy and violence. Well, on violence, here we have the FBI in 2019 saying QAnon is occasionally driving both groups and individual extremists to carry out criminal or violent acts. One man barricaded himself to a bridge near the Hoover Dam with an armoured vehicle. Another shot dead a New York mob boss. He scrawled Q on his hand in court. There are other examples too. Then there's democracy, and in particular QAnon's impact on the US election.
A great deal of people who are not particularly political may have been converted via Facebook or other social media groups, and now have very bizarre ideas about the Democratic Party.
Certainly, QAnon is often visible when Trump supporters gather. It's also influential in protests against COVID restrictions around the world. QAnon's misinformation is definitely impacting America's democratic discourse, but containing it, well, that looks close to mission impossible. You suspect Facebook is well aware of this. Its statement on closing QAnon accounts says this work will take time and will continue in the coming days and weeks. I'd add months and years to that, for four reasons. First, QAnon's messaging and location constantly evolves.
Honestly, they're up against an idea, and it's going to be a bit of a whack-a-mole, I think, all across social media for quite a while.
Second, there's no agreement on what online content is okay. In May, Mark Zuckerberg said, "I just believe strongly that Facebook shouldn't be the arbiter of truth of everything that people say online. And the internet is full of people saying things that are false. Whether it's realistic or even desirable to try and stop that is not a settled issue on Facebook or elsewhere online." Point three, well, that concerns the very nature of the web. This is the journalist James Ball.
Across the open web, there are millions of sites, and it's much more complex tackling them. Clearly, the tech giants can do more, but we can't expect them to police the entire internet.
And the fourth point is this.
It became sort of a whirlpool of all conspiracy theories. It sort of collected other conspiracy theories about the Illuminati and the Kennedys.
And the more that QAnon becomes a whirlpool, a catch-all for spiralling distrust in authority, the harder it is to contain. Meanwhile, the QAnon story has reached this perhaps inevitable moment. The New York Times reports QAnon believers say being banned from Facebook is proof of the conspiracy, which of course it isn't, but the ban and their reaction to it is proof of the strength of their convictions and is another reason why containing their movement remains profoundly difficult.